I'm standing here just weeks away from what's supposed to be the happiest day of my life. And honestly, I don't know what to do. The countdown to my wedding feels like a ticking clock, but instead of excitement, all I feel is an overwhelming sense of confusion and dread. Everyone around me talks about love, commitment, and forever, but inside, I'm battling doubts and fears that I can't shake. It started months ago, a whisper of uncertainty that grew louder with every decision we made. At first, I thought it was just pre-wedding jitters, the kind that everyone experiences. But as the days turned into weeks, and the plans became more real, those jitters turned into something deeper, something that made me question if I was truly ready for this. I love him, I do. Or at least, I thought I did. We've been together for years, shared countless memories, supported each other through highs and lows. But love is complicated, isn't it? It's not just about the good times. It's about how you handle the challenges, the disagreements, the moments when you see someone's flaws up close and wonder if you can accept them forever. Lately, I've found myself caught up in what-ifs. What if we're rushing into this? What if we're just afraid to be alone? What if I'm missing something crucial, something I won't be able to fix once the vows are said? These questions haunt me, making it hard to sleep, hard to focus on anything besides the swirling storm in my mind. My fiancé notices. He tries to reassure me, tells me we can get through anything together. But his words sometimes feel like band-aids on a deeper wound, not enough to heal the anxiety gnawing at my heart. I want to be honest with him, to share my fears, but I'm scared. Scared that admitting doubt might unravel everything we've built, scare him away, or make this real. Family and friends offer advice, often without realizing how much pressure their excitement adds. You'll be fine, they say. It's normal to be nervous, but normal or not, this feels like a mountain I have to climb alone, with no clear path to the summit. Every wedding checklist item, venue, dress, guest list feels like another weight added to my shoulders. The joy I imagined is buried under stress and uncertainty. I catch myself daydreaming about running away, starting fresh somewhere new where no one expects anything from me. But then, I remember the good moments, the laughter we share, the way he looks at me when he thinks I'm not watching, the comfort of his hand in mine during hard times. Those moments are real too, and they pull me back from the edge. I don't have answers yet. I don't know if I'll feel different on the day itself or if these doubts will linger. What I do know is that I need to face this head-on, to confront my fears honestly, and decide what's best for me, not just what's expected. This isn't just about a wedding day, it's about the life that comes after. And for the first time, I'm realizing that it's okay not to have everything figured out right now. Maybe that's the most important step toward finding peace. As the days tick closer to the wedding, the pressure around me grows heavier. People keep asking about the final plans, the honeymoon, the seating chart, but I feel like I'm barely holding it together. The excitement everyone expects from me feels like a mask I'm wearing, and inside, there's this storm of doubt that I can't ignore. I've started to second-guess everything, not just the wedding, but the relationship itself. Maybe it's the fear of the unknown, or maybe it's a deeper realization that some parts of us just don't align the way I thought they did. There are things about him that frustrate me, habits I used to overlook, conversations where I feel unheard or misunderstood. I wonder if those cracks are going to widen once we say I do. My mind races through scenarios of what life might be like married to him. Will I still feel this way in a year? 5 years, 10? What if love isn't enough to sustain us through the tough times? These thoughts keep me awake at night, tangled in anxiety. I haven't told him all of this yet. I don't know how. I want to be honest, but I also don't want to hurt him or create a rift between us so close to our wedding day. I'm torn between wanting to run away and wanting to fight for what we've built. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just scared of commitment, or if my heart is trying to tell me something important. The more I try to push these feelings aside, the louder they become. I've started journaling to try and make sense of everything, pouring out my fears, hopes, and confusion onto paper. It helps a little, but the answers still feel just out of reach. I want clarity, but all I have is this overwhelming uncertainty. I look at the invitations, the decorations, the dress hanging in my closet, and I wonder if I'm about to make a mistake. But I also know that marriage is about more than a ceremony. It's about partnership, trust, and choosing each other every day. I want to believe that we can do that, but right now, I just don't know. I'm scared of disappointing everyone, my family, my friends, myself. But I'm even more scared of living a life where I'm not true to who I am or what I need. So here I am, 2 weeks away from my wedding, feeling completely screwed but still hoping that somehow, I'll find my way through this. The closer the wedding day gets, the more I feel like I'm caught in a whirlwind that I can't escape. Every conversation, every decision, every glance at the calendar feels like a reminder that soon, everything will change whether I'm ready or not. I've tried to push my fears aside during the day, focusing on practical things, confirming the florist, tasting the cake, fitting into the dress that once made me feel beautiful but now feels like a costume I'm forced to wear. But when the night comes, the silence in my apartment becomes deafening. That's when the doubts creep in again, louder and more persistent. I think about the life I'm leaving behind, my independence, my routines, the freedom to make choices without compromise. Marriage feels like a contract that could either be a bond of love or a cage. And I'm terrified of it being the latter. I've started talking to my closest friend more, someone who's seen me through the best and worst. I spill my heart out, confessing fears I've never voiced aloud. She listens without judgment, reminding me that it's okay to question, to feel scared, and to take time to really understand what I want. One night, after a particularly restless sleep, I had a dream. In it, I stood at the altar, but instead of joy, there was emptiness. The crowd around me blurred into shadows, and I felt completely alone. I woke up with tears in my eyes, the weight of that loneliness pressing down on me. But dreams are just dreams, and reality still awaits. I know I have decisions to make, and soon. Then, a breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a quiet moment with my fiancé, I decided to open up. I told him about the doubts that have been haunting me, about my fears of losing myself, about the uncertainty I feel about our future. To my surprise, he didn't react with anger or disappointment. Instead, he listened. Really listened. He shared his own fears, his own vulnerabilities, and for the first time, we talked honestly about what marriage means to each of us. That conversation didn't erase the doubts completely, but it made them less frightening. It reminded me that marriage isn't about perfection or having all the answers, it's about choosing to face the unknown together. With that newfound understanding, I started to see the wedding not as an end, but as a beginning to step into a shared journey where both of us could grow, change, and support each other. I still have fears. I still have questions. But I'm no longer paralyzed by them. In 2 weeks, I'll stand at that altar, not because everything is perfect, but because I'm ready to try, ready to embrace the messy, beautiful reality of love and commitment. And that, I think, is enough. As the wedding day finally approached, the whirlwind of emotions inside me settled into a quiet resolve. I wasn't naive, I knew the road ahead wouldn't be perfect, but I was ready to face it honestly, with my eyes wide open. The doubts didn't disappear, but they no longer controlled me. Instead, they reminded me to keep communicating, to be patient, and to nurture the relationship every single day. The morning of the wedding was a strange mix of excitement and calm. As I looked in the mirror, the reflection staring back at me was someone who had fought through uncertainty and come out stronger. The dress fit perfectly, not just physically, but emotionally, like I was finally stepping into a version of myself that I could be proud of. When the ceremony began, surrounded by friends and family, I felt the weight of their love and support. And when I looked into his eyes, I saw a man who, like me, wasn't perfect, but was willing to try. As we exchanged vows, I realized that marriage isn't about having everything figured out. It's about making a promise to grow together, to face the unknown hand in hand. It's about choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. The celebration that followed was filled with laughter, dancing, and moments of pure joy. But beneath the festivities, there was a deeper sense of hope that no matter what comes next, we'll face it together. And as the night drew to a close, I felt a quiet gratitude for the journey, the fears, the doubts, the conversations that brought us here. They weren't signs of weakness, but of honesty and courage. 2 weeks ago, I didn't know what to do. Now, I know that while I can't predict the future, I can choose to meet it with an open heart and a willing spirit. Because that's what love really is, a journey, not a destination. The days after the wedding were a whirlwind of adjustment, as they often are for newlyweds. We were navigating new rhythms, merging our lives more deeply than ever before. There were moments of blissful connection, but also times when the old doubts quietly surfaced. It was in those moments that I reminded myself of the vow we made to choose each other, even when it wasn't easy. Living together as a married couple revealed things I hadn't anticipated. The little quirks, the habits that once seemed endearing or invisible, became real challenges. But instead of letting them drive a wedge between us, we learned to communicate better, to listen without judgment, and to give each other space to be imperfect. Some days were tough. We argued about finances, household chores, even how to spend our weekends. But with every disagreement, we discovered more about ourselves and each other. We learned that love isn't just about grand gestures but the everyday work of understanding and compromise. I also started to understand that my fears before the wedding were not signs that I made a mistake, but natural parts of any big life change. The uncertainty didn't disappear, but it became manageable because we faced it as a team. Our relationship deepened in unexpected ways. We shared vulnerabilities we hadn't before, and built trust on a foundation of honesty. It wasn't always perfect, but it was real, and that made all the difference. There were still times when I missed the independence I had before marriage, but I also realized that marriage didn't mean losing myself. Instead, it was about growing together while keeping my own identity alive. Looking back, I don't regret the doubts or the fears. They pushed me to think deeply about what I wanted and needed. They forced me to communicate honestly and to build a relationship based on truth rather than illusions. Now, as we settle into this new chapter, I feel hopeful. Not because everything is perfect, but because we are committed to making it work, day by day. I'm learning that love is not a destination you arrive at, but a journey you embark on with all its twists, turns, and surprises. And I'm ready to keep walking that path, with an open heart and a clear mind, knowing that whatever happens, I am not alone, as weeks turned into months. The initial excitement of newlywed life gave way to the real work of building a partnership. We faced challenges I hadn't anticipated, balancing work and personal time, managing finances, and blending our families and social circles. At times, it felt overwhelming, like we were walking a tightrope, trying not to fall into old patterns of misunderstanding or resentment. There were moments when I caught myself slipping back into old fears, questioning whether I was truly ready for this lifelong commitment. But each time, I reminded myself of the choice we made together, and I reached out to him with honesty rather than retreating into silence. We started setting aside time just for us, date nights, weekend getaways, quiet evenings at home, moments where we could reconnect and remind ourselves why we chose each other in the first place. Those small rituals became the glue that held us together during tougher times. One thing I learned was how important it was to maintain my own sense of self. I pursued hobbies and friendships outside the marriage, which gave me the strength and confidence to bring my best self to the relationship. Marriage didn't mean losing my identity, it meant sharing it fully and authentically. Communication remained our biggest challenge and our greatest tool. We made mistakes, times when words were said in anger, or when we avoided difficult conversations out of fear. But with each mistake came a lesson, and over time, our ability to listen and truly hear each other improved. I also came to realize that love evolves. It's not the fiery passion of early days, but something deeper, quiet, steady flame that warms even the coldest nights. It's found in acts of kindness, forgiveness, and the simple presence of someone who knows you intimately and chooses to stay. Looking back at those 2 weeks before the wedding, when I felt utterly lost, I can see how far I've come. I'm not perfect, and neither is our marriage, but we're committed to growing together, learning from our struggles, and celebrating our victories. I'm grateful for the journey because it taught me that being scared is part of love, that uncertainty can coexist with hope, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is simply take the next step, hand in hand. Over time, life began to throw new challenges our way, unexpected twists that tested everything we thought we knew about ourselves and each other. One of the biggest hurdles came when I lost my job. It wasn't just the financial strain that was difficult, it was the sudden shift in identity, the feeling of uncertainty about my future. For the first time since we got married, I felt vulnerable and unsure, and it made me question how strong our partnership really was. He stepped up in ways I hadn't anticipated. Instead of blaming or resenting me, he became my rock. He encouraged me to pursue new opportunities, reminding me that my worth wasn't tied to a paycheck. We had honest conversations about our fears, our plans, and how we could support each other through this tough time. Those months were some of the hardest we faced, but also some of the most important. We learned that marriage isn't just about good times, it's about being there for each other when everything feels uncertain. The way we weathered that storm deepened my respect and love for him in ways words can't fully capture. Around the same time, we began talking about starting a family. This brought new excitement, but also new anxieties. What if we weren't ready? What if we disagreed on how to raise kids? These fears felt daunting, but again, our willingness to communicate openly helped us navigate the unknown. We agreed to take things slowly, to build a foundation of patience and understanding before making any big decisions. That approach has become a cornerstone of our marriage, knowing that we don't have to have it all figured out right away, but that we'll figure it out together. Reflecting on everything, I see now that my initial panic before the wedding was a gift in disguise. It forced me to face my fears head-on, to demand honesty from myself and from him. It prepared us for the real journey of marriage, not just the ceremony, but the lifelong commitment to grow, to struggle, and to love deeply, even when it's hard. Every day, I'm reminded that love is messy and beautiful, scary and comforting, fragile and strong all at once. And I'm grateful that we chose to face it together, with open hearts and minds. As life continued to unfold, we encountered challenges that no amount of preparation could have anticipated. About a year into our marriage, my husband received a job offer in a city hundreds of miles away. The opportunity was promising, a step up in his career, but it meant uprooting our lives and starting over somewhere new. The prospect filled me with mixed emotions, excitement for the adventure ahead, but also fear of leaving behind the familiar. We debated the decision for weeks, weighing the pros and cons. I worried about the distance from family and friends, the stress of a new environment, and how it might strain our relationship. But ultimately, we agreed to take the leap, trusting that our commitment would hold strong. Moving was chaotic: packing, selling our place, finding a new home, and adapting to a different rhythm. There were moments when the stress felt overwhelming, and we both found ourselves on edge. Yet, those challenges also brought us closer. We learned to lean on each other in new ways, to communicate even when tired or frustrated, and to celebrate small victories together. In this new chapter, I discovered a resilience I didn't know I had. I found new hobbies, made new friends, and began to carve out a life that felt authentically mine, even while building our life as a couple. My husband and I grew not only as partners but as individuals. But the biggest test came when he was suddenly diagnosed with a health issue. It was scary and unexpected, and it shook the foundation of everything we had built. In those dark moments, I realized that marriage is about more than love or companionship. It's about being a source of strength and hope when the world feels uncertain. We faced the diagnosis together, navigating appointments, treatments, and the emotional roller coaster that came with it. There were tears and fears, but also moments of profound tenderness and gratitude. Our bond deepened in ways I hadn't imagined possible. Through it all, I understood that marriage is not a fairy tale, it's a complex, beautiful journey filled with ups and downs. It's about choosing each other every day, through joy and pain, growth and setbacks. Now, looking back on the journey from those anxious days before the wedding to where we are now, I feel a deep sense of peace. I'm not naive to the challenges that lie ahead, but I'm confident that together, we can face whatever comes, because in the end, Marriage isn't about perfection, it's about commitment, resilience, and love in all its messy, imperfect glory. Months passed since the diagnosis, and life settled into a new normal, one marked by careful routines, checkups, and small victories. There were days when the weight of uncertainty threatened to overwhelm us, but each time, we found strength in one another's presence. The experience redefined our relationship, shifting it from a partnership based primarily on romance to a profound companionship grounded in resilience and care. Through this, I discovered something important about myself and about love. It's not just the joyful moments that matter, but the willingness to show up even when things are hard. I learned to be patient, to listen deeply, and to appreciate the quiet and spoken acts of devotion that often go unnoticed. Our friends and family became an unexpected source of support. Some stepped up in ways that filled our hearts with gratitude, others faded away, revealing who truly cared. This clarity, though painful, helped us focus on the relationships that nurtured us and let go of those that drained our energy. As time went on, I noticed how the challenges had strengthened our communication. We talked openly about fears and hopes, about what we needed from each other, and about the dreams we still held onto despite the difficulties. This honesty became a lifeline, helping us navigate the complexity of life with empathy and grace. Even as we faced these trials, we found moments of joy, celebrating small milestones, sharing laughter over silly things, and rediscovering the simple pleasure of being together. Those moments reminded me why I said yes in the first place, and why I would choose to say it again. Looking back, I realize how far we've come from the panic of uncertainty before the wedding to the deep, steady love that now anchors us. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know one thing for certain: whatever comes, we'll face it side by side. And that gives me hope.